let's actually go with tier lists. We have some of the biggest gaming gigachuds present over here, and technically we could do the tier lists right now. So let us go over it. This is something that I wanted to do for a longer period, actually. Just, as the last call for tier 1 to do these tier lists, and do one for GVG content, do one for small scale. By that I mean mainly 3v3 arena and combat up to, let's say, 10 people, like 1 or 2 parties max, right? Because different weapons will excel in different scenarios, obviously. And finally, I will do last tier list, which are going to be my predictions for tier 2. Now, this one is probably going to be a little bit off, because I will just do that tier list based on what I heard and what I saw happening on the Korean server, right? That is where practically all of the information is. Let's, without further ado, let us, start with the tier list. So, first thing that we can... have I played Civ 7? I haven't. I have played a lot of Civs back in the day, Civ 4 and 5, and I could technically get Civ 7 and play it on stream sometime later on. So that I'm completely fine with that. I like those RTSs, and Civ is like one of the best turn strategies in my personal opinion again. Let us go again with the tier list one by one. So first tier list that I'm going to do right now is going to be a tier list for GVG. So this is combat, minimal number of people 48, or even more, let's say up to 300 people, right? So what do we have first? We have SNS Wand. My personal opinions on SNS Wand in GVG, I think it's S tier. Why? Because it is practically the tankiest class in game, number one. It can do a lot of things. It can heal. It can survive for very long periods. It can even do curses. So, all in all, very survivable class. Decent healing output. I've seen some SNS wands actually output healing similar to Staff Wand, which is crazy. So, in my personal opinion, very simple, SNS Wand is S tier. Then we have SNS Greatsword, my own class. So, I'm again going to try to be as objective as I can, right? Healer is S tier for all, says Izumi. Agree and disagree. So we will talk about it, right? This is why we have people in chat. Everybody will state their opinion. And at the end of the day, we will try to make this tier list as, let's say, as close as possible to reality, right? SNS Greatsword, I personally think it's S tier. Like, it's my class. I don't think it's that overpowered. People were crying about Greatsword being too OP, impossible to deal with. Bows have gotten shields. There many things changed over time. Now we have like stun immunity if somebody is stunned a few times in a row. So I don't feel SNS Greatsword is that good as much as it was at the start, okay, of tier 1. But it's still S tier. Why? Because it's your standard frontline tank. It can go into backline, deal decent damage, set up, and most importantly, it has Guillotine, which has minus healing. In my personal opinion, for any type of PvP content, if you have minus healing, that is the best thing that you can have. And again, I don't think it is as good as it was, but I think it's still very solid S tier, right? Now we have SNS Dagger. SNS Dagger, honestly, nobody's playing SNS Dagger. It's going on paper to be amazing in tier 2. Right now, it simply doesn't work. You can't get enough evasions, you won't do enough damage. It's just a mediocre class. Should I put it in C or B? I mean, nobody's playing it. I'll feel right now, I'll feel it, I'll leave it at C and think about it a little more. This class has a lot of potential in tier 2. Might even be one of the best classes, like no joke now. But right now, it doesn't work. SNS stuff. SNS dagger underrated. Okay, I thought somebody will say something like that. I just... when was the last time you were attacked by SNS dagger? And what did they do to you? Just tell me. Like, did you 1v1 SNS dagger? Did you see SNS dagger in GVG? It's like a unicorn. You know, it might exist, but you never saw it, right? So, it has to be C tier for me for now. SNS stuff, nobody's playing this. It just doesn't make any sense to play this combo. Like, why go for a tank mage? What are you? Battle mage, Scarlet Monastery, WoW Classic. I hate that. PTSD. No, it's F tier. Last time inter server I got randomly one shot by SNS dagger. Okay, listen, when that happens to me, I might put it into B. But for now I will leave it in C, but I will again think about it. SNS bow. Nobody's playing SNS bow, practically no point to do this, although actually some shot callers play it. This is the only reason why I might put it into C. It has potential to be decent in tier 2. But I feel this is something that only shot caller should or would run. You know, to acquire easy targets, to be tanky, to survive. Again, this is not a class for everybody, only for specific individuals, and there's only few of them and nobody's playing this anyway. SNS X-Bow. If you are playing this, you are probably on drugs. So, kids, do not do drugs, do not play SNS X-Bow, okay? SNS Spear. SNS Spear is very interesting because it has a lot of potential. Spear is, let's be honest, broken, but we will get to it later on. SNS Spear has a lot of potential. You do not see them that often. It performs decently in small scale. It has some very good abilities for large scale. Can I put it on a level of SNS Wand and SNS Greatsword? I don't think so. I don't think people are still there. It just does decent damage, but it lacks the survivability of SNS Wand, and it lacks pressure on a single target and minus healing of SNS Greatsword. It deals decent AoE damage, but if you're going for pure AoE damage, why be tanky? You know, you can be Spear Dagger and two-shot everybody. Why bother, right? So for now, I'll think about this one. This is B. If a player is really, really good, could technically go towards A. But since we're speaking about average, I'll leave it in B for now and think about it. Wand Bow. I mean, no-brainer. If anybody tells me that Wand Bow is not S tier, they're probably not playing the game. It's Wand Bow. Like, it has more HP than a tank, probably more endurances, it has healing for itself, for everybody, it can throw a flash wave, your HP goes like this, full, like, I don't know, it's just, it has to be in front of everything else. Like, Wand Bow is literally #1 healer, not even close, I'm sorry, by far the best class so far. Everybody who disagrees with this, you don't know anything about the game, okay? Wand Staff. This one I want to take a moment to think about. Tell me, chat, what do you think about Wand Staff? Because on paper it's healer. It should be easy S tier, right? But I don't see Wand Bow performing on a level of... Wand Staff performing on a level of Wand Bow. It has a different role. I mean, you know what? I'll leave it in S tier just because of one thing. Because it can support very well, and it can freeze a target. But in my personal opinion, if we compare Wand Bow to Wand Staff in large scale, Wand Bow is like one tier above. So like I would even consider putting Wand Staff here. but I think some people in chat would be mad or I would be judged for this. It's still a healer, and healer is OP. Izumi doesn't agree with this. Okay, Izumi, just for you, S tier. But again, I will repeat it one more time. I feel Wand Bow is a lot better than Wand Staff. I will get to it in the next video. I thought that Wand Staff is going to be a lot better in small scale. But from everything I experienced, Wand Bow was even better in small scale. Because Wand Staff is trying to do some mix, like push damage, heal, crowd control, and by doing all of that, it doesn't excel at anything. And meanwhile, a Giga Chad with Wand Bow cannot simply die, and he's doing 500k healing in a single goddamn arena match. And I'm about to slam my head on the keyboard if I get another Wand Staff in my arena and I'm playing versus Wand Bow, because it's close to unwinnable. Literally, if they press 2 or 3 buttons. So yeah, we will get to that, but yeah, my personal opinion again. Wand Dagger, pretty good class. Sleep Bomber, everybody knows it as that, right? Is it S tier? I don't think so. Is it A tier? I think it was at the start of this meta, but now I see less and less Sleep Bombers. Like, if a guild is running a Sleep Bomber, they have only 1, maybe 2. Having 3 is overkill, it's crazy. And then again, in my personal opinion, at this point, why run Wand Dagger to go for a sleep when, like, SNS Wand can do the similar thing and, you know, be tanky and do some stuff. And plus maybe heal on top of that. This class is again a hybrid, and I feel sleep is very nice. It's one of the best abilities in game, but people have learned how to play around it. People spread out. You don't get as much value as back in the days, and that's why I feel it fell off from A to B for me. But again, you might disagree and put it in A, right? Wand X-Bow. I have never seen this thing in my life. You probably shouldn't play it. It just doesn't make sense. What are you gonna do? Spin and heal. Wand Spear. I mean, on paper better than Wand X-Bow, but again, nobody's playing this. There's simply no reason to mix these two weapons. Again, technically if you are very good, I think Wand Spear could work, but it's just... Why? Why combine those two weapons? You know, nobody's playing this. It's not that good. GS Dagger. This might be controversial, but I think GS Dagger is terrible in GVG. Like, it's not even close. It's terrible. The only thing you can make an impact as GS Dagger is if you are Giga overgeared, you have Tevent Daggers and Tevent Greatsword, and you go in and you literally like blast somebody in 1 second, right? You get a reset and then you rinse and repeat that on cooldown. Why is that a problem? Everybody is so goddamn tanky. You won't kill a Wand Bow in the back line. You won't kill a tank. Maybe you find a squishy. What if they get healed or, like, you know, stealth or whatever they can do? If you're playing Greatsword Dagger, in my personal opinion, equip Greatsword SNS. Like, literally you do less damage, but you will be more survivable, you will be a frontline, you will soak some damage. It's just not, it's not good in GVG. Should I put it at A tier? Probably. A tier, it can work if you are a really good player with really good gear. But it's just, it doesn't cut, you know, make a cut for these. It's simply not that good. And you also don't want to have too many. Maybe, like, have 1 or 2, worst case scenario, right? And now we get to GS Spear. Controversial, but I feel GS Spear is 10 times better than GS Dagger. Like, honestly, I have to put it in front of GS Dagger for GVG. Like, not that popular, not that many people are playing it, but if you go with the correct build, with like solid amount of endurances, you can even add maybe 1 evasion and mix in, right? It can deal gazillions of damage. Like, you have Spear as one of the highest damaging weapons in game. You have Greatsword, which is amazing for AoE, for stuns, for crowd control, and also gives you a little bit more hit if combined with your flat HP as passive, right? I think these two weapons complement each other. I don't think that too many people are playing this class, and I feel it is amazing, and I actually want to play it more at one point before tier 2. So I'm leveling Spear, definitely want to test it. Probably can technically be one of the best classes in game. Again, has some downsides. It simply doesn't have SNS to block. So you are very highly reliant on your mobility, movement, and avoiding. It should excel a little bit more in side skirmish and stuff like that. It's not good for a flat GVG like 3 versus 300, simply because it can't block and survive. But I think it's a really good class and that people are sleeping on this. GS Bow. I mean, have you seen a GS Bow? When have you seen a GS Bow? I didn't. I have to put it in F. When I see a good GS Bow, I'll change my mind, right? So, prove me wrong. GS stuff. GS stuff is very interesting. I think that Greatsword stuff is actually pretty decent. Like, is it on a level of GS Spear? I mean, it's close to it. Like, it deals AoE damage with stuff. It has Greatsword to go in and do damage. Again, same problem as GS Spear. It lacks, like, just survivability. But, again, this might be controversial, but I think GS stuff is good. We had few GS stuff players in the guild. They were doing ton of damage with stuff. They were switching to GS, actually going into clumps, doing some AoE stuns, and then going out and again dishing damage from range with stuff. And these two weapons are, they're fine. They complement each other. Again, might be not as good. Like I'll maybe put it over here at B tier, but at the top. You don't see it played anymore that often, just because, you know, this weapon, Greatsword, is limiting you when you have stuff. You have better options, right? But I think if you are a really good player, this one can go from A towards S, and this one can go from B towards A. If you are really mechanically good, and you know how to position yourself in, like, large scale, you know, to survive. GSX Bow. Unicorn. Never seen this. Doesn't work. GS Wand. GS Wand, honestly, I have seen a few of them. And it's like a mix of a healer that has some damage and crowd control. Again, main problems. Lacks survivability. Doesn't have this survivability that Wand Bow has. It doesn't have shield. It lacks the utility of wand stuff. It cannot freeze somebody. It can just, you know, like go in, do a little bit of AoE, probably die. In GVG, this class is absolutely close to useless. Like, you have to go in to get value from GS, but when there are a lot of people around you, you will die. It has to be C tier at best. And that is, again, just because I've seen a few of them, but it's you shouldn't. This is the worst type of a healer you can play, right? And now we get to Spear Dagger. Chat. Spear Dagger opinions. What do we think about Spear Dagger? Because chat is speechless when they see Spear Dagger, which is understandable, I'll say it myself. To hell with all the spears. Annoying S tier. Okay, guys, I will go as far to say that Spear Dagger should be put in its own tier. So, what I'm going to go ahead and do now is add row above. We're going to call this Spear tier. Actually, Spear tier. There we go, perfect. So, I mean, it's like this, honestly, at this point. It's absolutely broken. Deals gazillions of damage. You are afraid to stand next to the people, you're going to chain them with fire damage. They show up from stealth, they one-shot all of your DPS. The only people that survive are tanks and healers, but they will also die at some point in a big GVG. Spear Dagger, ever since Spear was introduced, it completely broke the whole meta before that. You remember, Bow got nerfed. There is nothing close to Spear. Like, every wargame that I'm watching, last 10 wargames, first top 10 that you see is literally Spear Dagger. If it's not a Spear Dagger, they're either bad Spear Dagger players or some other DPS class, they're just too good at their class. And why are they playing that class when they can simply equip a Spear Dagger and kill everybody, right? It's just broken. And because I did this, I have to do one more thing. I actually have to move... this is controversial. I have to move one bow into Spear tier. Like, it's also broken, honestly. Like this seems way more fair. Like, Spear Dagger is broken, Wand Bow is broken. These two classes are just too OP for what they do. And then we have everything else below. Chat, do we agree? Is this controversial? I think it isn't, honestly. Now, the good thing is, the Spear Dagger doesn't seem that OP in Korea. People are not complaining about this at all. It lacks hit, it doesn't do good damage, but with tier 1 stats and values that we have, nothing compares to this weapon. Like, nothing. This weapon killed Greatsword Dagger. You don't see Greatsword Dagger ever. It killed even Spinner. Every normal DPS class who played anything else before, they're playing Spear Dagger now. And they look amazing. So, what can I tell you? It's just, if I was a dev, I would have balanced this thing about a month ago when it was released, probably. Spear X-Bow. Never seen this in my life. Unicorn. Doesn't work. Staff Dagger. Staff Dagger is easy S tier. Like, what? If you have Balandir and you have daggers, you are safe, you can stealth, you are probably hard to take down if you are positioning well. You have some insane range, like you are blasting everybody from a mile away, you're doing huge AoE, and you're applying minus healing in general, right, with stuff. Easy S tier. Like, they're, like, no second thought about it. Spear Staff. I mean, I've seen one Spear Staff destroy, obliterate people in arena, but if it performs well in like small scale, it doesn't mean it applies to large scale. Now we have two very broken weapons, which on paper should work very well in large scale, but the problem is Spear needs to get close. You die if you do something close, right? And then if you have Staff, why not run Staff with Dagger or Staff with Bow? It's just better. This is why I think this class has a lot of potential, but nobody is playing it, and it's kinda C tier. The weapons do not complement each other, right? That's the problem. Staff X-Bow. If you play this, you're on drugs. Bow Dagger. Bow Dagger is a very interesting one. Back in the day of Flashwave meta, we would have probably have above Spear tier like Bow Dagger and Bow Staff, right? But ever since Flashwaves and everything else, hey Spyro, ever since practically Flashwave got nerfed, Tornado got minor nerfs from what I remember, like Bow isn't performing that well, close to the point where nobody is playing Bow Dagger in the highest competitive guilds in GVGs. They're playing Bow Staff. I haven't seen a single Bow Dagger. In Arena, they perform poorly. In Arena, I saw only one guy playing Bow Dagger, and he was top 110. And he would probably be top 20 if he was playing a Spear with his mechanical skill, right? I feel Bow Dagger was over the S tier, and now it fell off so much with Spear and everything else that I don't think can I even put it in B tier. I feel like greatsword stuff would, funny enough, be better in some scenarios, even in GVG, than bow dagger. It fell off so much. It just doesn't make sense. If you're playing bow, play bow stuff. C tier bow dagger. I mean, you could be right. Like, Sleep Bomber, I feel, is more useful than bow dagger, and SNS Spear can do more stuff technically. I feel you're maybe even right about this, even though it sounds weird, and there are still people who are coping and playing this. From what I understand, it's going to be even worse in tier 2. So, I don't know, if you are bow dagger, good luck, think about it. Again, top guilds are not playing this in GVG. In Arena, it doesn't perform well. There are so many better options, and that's the problem, right? Bow Spear. This one is probably one of the hardest choices, chat, I'll be completely honest. Because this, you almost never see. And I think a problem is Spear, like kinda short range, half range. Why run bow with it? You're gonna have hit issues. It has to be C tier. But like this class, if like maybe built correctly and you know people test it a little bit, it could maybe go up a little bit. But again, problem is just this combination. Why run bow spear or bow dagger when you can go bow staff over bow wand? No brainer. Or you can go spear dagger and that's it. GG. Bow staff. Bow staff is easiest tier. Like, literally, if you are not running staff dagger and you are backline DPS, you should be running bow staff. It has highest amount of utility and damage for a backline class, right? You have two of the best weapons combined. The only problem that I feel this class has in general is just mobility. It is very easy to lock down and to kill bow staff, even if they're running endurance and they're like very tanky. This class doesn't perform well in Arena, in small scale, but you will not find anything better for a big GVG. Like, you're doing AoE damage with staff, you have flash wave with your bow, you know, you're still decent enough, you're gonna survive in GVG with like good gear and good stats. It's easy S tier. Everybody who disagrees, again, just explain me why. Why would you disagree? Why staff dagger and bow staff are not the best range class? This is the only meta that, you know, top tier guilds play for range DPS in the backline. Bow X bow. I mean, if you're playing this, you're a PvE Andy. This is a PvE build. You have nothing to survive. If you come with this into PvP, a spear dagger will kill you in probably less than 1 second. So I have to put it in F tier, no questions about it. X-bow dagger. This is probably also the most interesting one, because at the start of meta, right chat, everybody was thinking that X-bow dagger is one of the most broken things. When you see those numbers like 1000, 1000, 1000 in a millisecond, you see 20,000 numbers, but it fell off. Like, it is hard countered by any type of SNS. Like, you pop counter barrier, if X-bow dagger spins, they die in 2 seconds. It is extremely bad if it doesn't have Balandir. Okay, Balandir makes this class 3 times better. If you have Balandir, you're kinda decent. But again, this class is so easily countered. Like, one stun, your whole point is to go into backline to do a spin. Usually you get stunned or you die to counter barrier. What's the point? Play spear. It's 10 times better, right? So it was really good, but right now it fell off to the point that I don't see top guilds playing X-bow dagger. Like, nobody's playing this. Nobody. Everybody is spear dagger. I saw maybe 1 or 2 X-bow daggers, and they're kinda doing well, but they're like giga overgeared. They have like Balandir, Tevent daggers, and still they would probably do more damage on spear, I'll be honest. It just, you know, this class fell off immensely. I think it's still good in small scale in Arena, but I think it is simply not good for like big GVGs, and it needs a lot of setup. It will be definitely one of the best classes in tier 2, again just with the right setup and right weapon, but we will get to that. Can I give this a B tier, chat? More at the moment, more like arena class. Yeah, this is what I completely agree about. I think it's more of a arena class at the moment, which is kind of unfortunate because it's one of the highest skill cap mechanical classes. Like, this class actually requires skill. You can see a big difference between a bad crossbow player, average crossbow player, and then a good like X-bow player. Like, the difference is miles. Just because rotations are hard and everything, it just doesn't perform well. At the moment it has too many counters. You are easily prevented from your AoE, and that is your main tool to deal damage, you know? On a single target and on more targets, Spear is going to do same shit from half range and do more damage and not probably get countered, right? It can re-stealth or whatever. So X-bow dagger fell off. It's simply not as good as it used to be. It has very high potential in tier 2 though, with a good setup, and we will talk about it. But yeah, I feel this is like tier list for now. Let me check it one more time. So yeah, Spear Dagger Wand Bow is in Spear tier. They're one cut above everything else. I personally feel SNS Greatsword is a little bit more useful than SNS Wand, but arguable. Like, these two are doing their job, right? Can I put it here? Hello, tier list. Nice. I mean, these two are also... yeah, something like this. Like, these are your best tanks, second best healer, or on par if played well, and your best DPS. This is kinda situational. You can only have one or two, requires a lot of gear, a lot of skill. Even this I think is better. And this one has very high potential if you are skilled. Also this, but like, you don't see them that often and it's hard to pull off when you have all of these better options. That's the only thing. Sleep Bomber kinda fell off. Like, SNS 1 can do same thing and, you know, be tanky, so why run this, in my personal opinion, at this point? And it's not worth definitely running more than 2 or 3. You're just losing a slot for a pure DPS or pure healer. Yeah, I think this list actually looks good. This one fell off. Did it fell off that much? I mean, you're still gonna see it. Do I give this A tier, chat? Do I put X-bow dagger in A just for good old times when some people used to play it? But I feel like SNS Spear can do more than X-bow dagger at this point. I'm not even joking. I have to leave it in B tier. C tier, SNS dagger not played. This is shot caller. This is if you're trolling. This could work, but requires a lot of like skill and good positioning. That's why this one is the biggest question mark for me. Bow dagger fell off too much. Like, everybody knows it and probably sees it. So many bow dagger players switched to something else. Close to nobody's playing this at the moment. Bow spear may even have higher potential than this, but we just don't see this enough. It's not that good combo. And these are things that people just don't play. Yeah, that would be for this tier list. I don't want to waste too much of your time anymore. So this is again GVG, large scale combat, 48 up to 300 people at least. And again, is this list 100% right? Probably not, but this is what, from my personal opinion and my personal experience, how things stand at the moment. If you like this comment, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get practically more information and updates when I post some guides and useful information in future regarding Throne and Liberty and other games. Okay, thank you.